Welcome to the EmpowerLA Podcast. This is your host, Brett Shears from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. In this special episode of the podcast, we've interviewed a dozen people to discuss topics ranging from innovation in neighborhood councils, homelessness, and youth engagement. The interviews were recorded on the spot at the EmpowerLA Awards in the City Hall Rotunda, which gave us a chance to pull our guests straight from the event's attendees. This episode will be part of a series, the first two parts of which will be the complete interviews of all the guests, with some future episodes focusing on specific issues. Recording a podcast like this is a bit like walking a tightrope, but I think things went well. So I hope you enjoy what this diverse group of guests had to say. Thanks. All right, so we're here at the EmpowerLA Awards. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm David Rockello, president of Rampart Village Neighborhood Council.
Hey, David. So thanks for sitting down with us.
Yeah.
The EmpowerLA Awards are a great opportunity to celebrate neighborhood councils, but we're also trying to recognize some of the good things that they do, some of the ways that they are innovative, which is our theme, innovative civic engagement. Do you have a sense of, in the neighborhood council system, some innovative things that are going on, whether at your own council or others that you've seen?
I see our neighborhood council dealing with our homeless crisis that we're in right now.
Is that a high priority for you?
It's a very high priority for Rampart Village. PATH is located within our boundaries.
And PATH is?
PATH is people helping the homeless.
And are they a service provider in the area?
And they are, and they're actually the people that helped start the neighborhood council.
What have you all done to engage this problem?
Well, we're going to their meetings, and they're going to our meetings now, and we're trying to build up better communication, because for about 5 years we hadn't talked to each other.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think the source of
new
that?
Board. There's a new board.
Non-communication.
A new board comes in, and
Right.
then they don't talk to the people that you talk to.
Right.
So in 2014, I was target voted out of office, and then I came back. I even found my own opponent, just like the department wanted me to. But I still won.
Just like we do, and we're probably going to do in 2019.
In real elections.
Encourage you people to run against you.
Find your own opponent, yes. That's the most
do you
ridiculous thing
Do you see
in the whole department. But other than that, the neighborhood councils are great.
Is there anything you think we should be doing in that respect, other than changing that language about not finding your own opponent? What can we do to make it so it's a competitive system with legitimate, meaning kind of well-contested elections?
In neighborhood councils, you have to have at least two groups that don't like each other.
Right.
So that they'll always run against each other. I don't care about what's going on in Venice, where they have this hippy-dippy-doo-dah, parade of stakeholders that want to be on their neighborhood council.
Right.
That's great. That's Venice. They've got over 1,700 people coming into their election.
Yeah.
Okay?
They're doing something
and they're doing something right. And I think it's the barbecue they put on every year that you can't miss. It's really a lot of fun.
Do you get to go to that?
Everybody in the city gets to go to that.
No,
that's
I mean,
nice
you
thing.
made it out there. That's awesome.
Yeah,
well,
I did.
That's great. So you can come all the way from Rampart Village to Venice.
Yes, I used to live in Venice.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of a stakeholder in your own right.
I'm a former stakeholder there.
Right.
But now I've gotten gentrified into Chinatown.
So again, this theme...
So I'm up for a new neighborhood council next election term, if I so desire.
Are you going to get gerrymandered out? Is that what you're kind of aiming to?
I'm not gerrymandered out because I am a factual basis.
Got it.
Or what they used to call factual basis candidate.
I still hear that term floated around.
I would love to go and get, a Starbucks coffee and want to vote. I thought that was a great idea, but unfortunately, the community interests won out.
That idea did not hold up. So, in terms of the theme again, it's kind of innovations in neighborhood councils. Is there something you think we should be doing to be more innovative, whether in the system or the individual neighborhood councils?
Well, just apply yourself to all the other neighborhood councils and find out who your neighbors are.
Right.
Your neighboring neighborhood councils might be doing something totally different. I know that in Atwater, if you miss 2 meetings in a row, you're gone.
We're going to have to fact check that, but I'll take your word for it.
They are very strict, and they have that many stakeholders that are so excited to be in the neighborhood council.
Yeah, that's great.
That they can replace people that fast.
How do we get more councils like that with that kind of
Well,
adversarial
the first thing we
thing?
all have to work with is the negative stakeholder. When they walk in your door, and you're holding your meeting and they're angry at you, you have to listen to them. You have to actively listen to what they're saying and what they're trying to convey to you. I don't think enough people have good enough listening skills.
It sounds like a lot of what you're focusing on and what your neighborhood council probably does is really communication-based stuff, whether it's relationships with PATH or other neighborhood councils. These innovations in communication, is there anything you think we could be doing better?
I mean, there's all the social media, and that's all wonderful, but we have now found out through what's going on in politics on the federal level that Facebook ads are electioneering. So I'm hoping that they can fix those situations.
We're going to have to do a little show note with the definition of electioneering. We'll leave it to the other people to decide, but I get where you're going with that.
It's not up to us, but really, we got to stay away from the algorithms and believe in what happens on Election Day. I think that Election Day is a really important part of what we're doing.
Sacred.
And I'm glad that they gave us an extra year. I'm using that to outreach to the people and getting them to know more about their neighborhood council and trying to get them more educated on why it's so important to vote in your neighborhood council elections that are coming up in 2019, which is just like it should be.
In a blink of the eye.
A blink of the eye.
Well, that's great. We're glad you're doing that. Last question I want to ask you. This is kind of a first question we often ask, but why did you get involved in the system? Why do you do it?
I thought that things were totally unfair, and that the neighborhood council was being run by a bunch of terrible people.
Boy,
so
you do not mince words.
What we had to do, I'm mincing them now, but what we had to do is join the neighborhood council in order to get those folks to decide that it was no longer time for them to stand on their principles, and they've moved on to improvement associations and other organizations. And some of them have actually risen to higher office.
Some of them. You're being very cryptic, but that's okay. We'll leave it on that note. David, thank you.
You're welcome.
Taking the time, being our first guest on the EmpowerLA
Rampart Village
Podcast.
meets every Tuesday, every third Tuesday of the month, at St. Anne's, and we do serve food at our neighborhood council meetings.
What a pro. Thanks for the plug. Great job. Keep up the good work.
All right.
So what's your name and what's your role in the neighborhood council system?
My name is Corinne Ho, and my role in the neighborhood council is I'm a board member now and the past president of the Canoga Park Neighborhood Council.
Thanks for joining us, Corinne. I know you're very active in the system, so I'm glad you took a little time. You have lots of other roles too, right, in addition to this board member at Canoga Park. But the theme of this awards, the EmpowerLA Awards, is innovative civic engagement. Are there any innovations that you're particularly proud of or that come to mind when you think of the work that you've done in the neighborhood council system?
Sure. The thing that comes to mind right now is our elections in 2016. The city provided us with benches across the city.
Right.
And we, in our neighborhood in Canoga Park, we have used that bench as an anchor to attract attention about the upcoming election. So we shot very short videos on the bench. One of them was a yoga pause that was really that really had impact on people because they stopped and said, "What is that? And what is EmpowerLA?" So it led them to question what it was.
Right. You brought attention. This was a whole campaign. You can see the videos online of you all bringing attention to the elections, right?
And then there was another video, a scenario as well, where I was sitting on the bench flipping the details about the election, such as the place, the location, the date.
Bob Dylan style. I don't know if you've ever seen, he has a video where he's throwing the cards down because they each have a message on them.
Oh, no, I have not seen, but
so
I would like to see
that
what
idea. I don't know if it originated with him, but he did it very famously for a song 50 years ago now.
And then the one that I really, well, thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
I will check that out. And the one that I really like was to engage the Sikh community, the Punjabi language.
Yes.
By having someone who speaks that language stop in front of the bench and actually dial the, finding out the information live in the video as he's going online.
That's a great innovation. Thank you for sharing that with us. Well, where do you think we are right now? What does the landscape of the neighborhood council system look like in any terms you want?
Right. Um, it depends where we go. It depends which part of the city we are, but I think generally speaking, we are definitely shaping to be a voice
Mm-hmm.
of empowerment of neighborhoods at the grassroots level.
Right. How are they using that voice? What are some causes or issues that you've seen neighborhood councils tackle?
Sure. There are many issues right now affecting the city where neighborhood councils involve themselves, whether it's through the CIS process or
Community
through
impact statements.
community impact statement
Mhm.
or through tangible projects that need to happen in the neighborhood, like
Yeah.
cleanups or improvements,
Mhm.
or affecting legislation, or back to that CIS, I guess.
Are there any particular issues that you're passionate about, that you focus on, that you think either the neighborhood council should be doing more of, or that just the city really needs?
In terms of issues or in terms of process?
I would say either, but issues is maybe a little more tangible for
Mhm.
people, like homelessness or inequality or housing and things like
Sure.
that.
Well, all those that you have mentioned are definitely issues that we all have to focus on. Anything that is related to the quality of life we have in our city should be something that we focus on, like especially like homelessness, which is an issue that is not only multifaceted, multi-jurisdictional, but it would require really um, the collaboration of every level component of government and community.
And what role do you think neighborhood councils have in that multi-level kind of coordination?
In terms of homelessness,
Yeah, it's just that issue.
well, for example, there is a belief out there that neighborhood council members are NIMBYs.
So people who say, not in my backyard,
Right.
don't build something near me.
Right. So when it comes to homelessness, for example, if we look at the two proposed solutions that we have on the table, which is safe parking and permanent supportive housing, neighborhood councils definitely have a leading role in educating the community about the benefits of what permanent supportive housing is and the safe parking as well. So they
Right.
do have a role to play, an active one.
Do you think the neighborhood councils are doing a good job of this? Do you think what could they improve, or what are they doing well already?
It's hard sometimes for neighborhood councils to achieve the work that they want to do because of the methods that we have in place.
Right.
And by that I mean the process of the Brown Act. So in other words, we cannot just get up and say, let's just go meet today because we all have time today and let's go solve
If only
it.
it were that easy.
Right, if only. And but it's not to put the Brown Act down. We need
Right.
the Brown Act. It's essential, I think, to maintaining the transparency. But it's not as easy as that. So it would be nice if we could do that. So therefore, we have all these other obstacles to overcome to get there. So yeah, as long as we can do it that way, we have the time, we have the passion and dedication, then I think we can.
One last question I want to ask you, which I'm going to ask everybody, is why did you get involved in this system? Why do you give your time to the neighborhood councils?
Well, at the very beginning, I didn't know what it was. I was just told it's to make a difference, so I was there.
Was
And
that effective? Did that work on you? I mean, you're in the system, but was
Right.
that enough?
It did work at the beginning, but I was going to leave many times when the elections came because I wasn't prepared. I wasn't told that this is what I was in for.
Right.
But now that I am in the system, and I think I am a product of the system, I really like it.
Yeah.
And I hope that young people, younger generation, families get involved.
Yeah.
And when I say young people, I'm thinking about Lily Larson from Mid-City Neighborhood Council, who's,
Shout out to Lily. That's one of my board members, so who I support that neighborhood council.
Right.
So I know Lily well. Yeah.
I had the pleasure to meet her, and I was absolutely taken away by why she joined the neighborhood council and what she's learning on the neighborhood council.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Is there any parting thoughts you wanted to leave any people who might listen to this?
I think that people of Los Angeles need to know about EmpowerLA. And if they can, if they have the time, they should get involved.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being involved. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank
You're
you
the
so much.
second interview of the day, so we'll keep it going.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Corinne.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. So what's your name and what's your affiliation with neighborhood councils?
My name is Shahan Suzman. I'm a board member of the East Hollywood Neighborhood Council, and I hold the at-large seat.
Great. So the EmpowerLA Awards, the theme this year is innovative civic engagement. So really we're honoring people who have kind of, had these innovations in the neighborhood council system, who are doing great things. How do you think neighborhood council system is being innovative? What kind of innovations have you seen either at East Hollywood Neighborhood Council or in the system as a whole?
Well, since the new mayor came in, and since Mitch O'Farrell came in,
And he's your city council member?
Yeah, Mitch is my city council member, and we love him over here at East Hollywood Neighborhood Council. We really see a higher level of civic engagement, especially as far as neighborhood cleanups and neighborhood improvement projects and efforts to make the community a better place for stakeholders.
How did you get involved in this system? What was your kind of introduction to neighborhood councils?
Well, it's an interesting question. I'm glad you asked that. It was because, first of all, this is my fourth term, and I'm getting termed out this year. This is my last term.
Are you not going to, there's no loopholes you can take advantage of yet?
I could sit out a term and then run again, and that's probably
go.
what I'll do because I love what I've been doing so much that I keep doing it.
That's great to hear.
But what happened to me was about 8 years ago, I was married to someone at the time, and we opened a business on Santa Monica Boulevard, and we were not happy with the level of communication we were having with City Hall. So I went to a neighborhood council meeting, and I just kind of got hooked immediately. I just wanted to be part of it. I saw it as a force for doing good in the neighborhood and good in the community, and it was something I'd never heard of. And I just went feet first right into it, and I've been involved ever since.
Wow, that's great. So in terms of other innovations, you're seeing more civic engagement, you're seeing more connection to City Hall and the City Council office. Are any issues or projects, where neighborhood councils you think are doing innovative things or making kind of big leaps or bounds? Any, homelessness is one that a couple of people have already brought up, but anything that comes to mind? That's
exactly what I was going to bring up. A couple of things. Homelessness is a big issue in our community. Our homeless neighbors are really in a bad position in East Hollywood, and we're seeing a level of civic engagement and attempts to connect with the homeless population more than ever before. I mean, many of us participated in the homeless count. This is my friend Stacy. She participated in the homeless count with us, and also this year the replacement of Columbus Day with the Indigenous Peoples Day was was really a big initiative that a lot of us were involved in. Stacy here, as a matter of fact, is a Native American. Native American. What's the word I'm looking for? I forgot the word.
Native American is good.
That's
well,
good.
it was more than that.
Indigenous, is that what you're going
Activist.
through? Oh.
Activist. That's the word I was looking for.
So you're looking for the adjective after that.
Yeah, the Native American activist who wrote a letter and got something in the council record about support and her experiences growing up as a Native American person and some of the issues she had with Columbus Day.
Right.
And not that I'm speaking for you or anything, but yeah. And so those are two of the things that we were pretty heavily involved in this year.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for coming and taking the time. If you ever want to stop by and say hi, I encourage you to listen to the podcast. There's lots of great insights on there too. So go to EmpowerLA.org/podcast. And if you want to leave us any parting words, please feel free.
I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of the East Hollywood Neighborhood Council, and go EmpowerLA.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yar. What's your name and affiliation with the neighborhood councils?
My name is Robin Greenberg. I'm president of the Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council.
Thanks so much for coming here, Robin. I know you had a big commute to get here, so thank you for braving that. So the theme here at this EmpowerLA Awards is innovative civic engagement. So we're just asking, the board members, the guests, the attendees, what are some innovations that you've seen in the neighborhood council system, whether it's your own board or, the system as a whole?
Well, I talk about my own board, which is Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council. And the city has encouraged us to clean the streets.
Yes.
So last year we cleaned Mulholland
Uh-huh.
between the 405 and Laurel Canyon and all the tributaries off of that. And this year we're going to clean again the same canyons, Benedict Canyon, Beverly Glen, Roscoe Mare, Cassiano, Laurel Canyon, Coldwater Canyon. And again, we'll be out with the neighbors because the neighbors live in the canyons. So we're
Sure.
interacting with the neighbors and cleaning the canyons. And that was a suggestion from the city.
And is that, that's great, exactly. There's a big cleanup effort underway. That's an issue, quality of life issue. Is that what you see as one of the main focuses of the neighborhood council? Is it just yours, or do you think that's an issue you've experienced elsewhere as well?
Well, I think it's our duty to interact with the citizens of the city.
Mhm.
And oftentimes the mayor invites us over to his house
Sure.
to discuss different aspects of our city. And one of the recent aspects that he discussed with us was the concept of resilience
Sure.
and protection of the neighbors in an
Uh-huh.
emergency. So I think the more interactions that we can have with our neighbors, our stakeholders, the better off the neighborhood council system is.
I do really think that's a great mission and ambition of all neighborhood councils. Is sometimes there really isn't that connection. What kind of success have you had? You've had the cleanups. Are there any other kind of communication efforts that you have to really connect with your neighbors?
Well, we did have the Skirball fire in our neighborhood, and
Oh,
many of
boy.
our neighborhoods were evacuated, including mine.
Right.
We did have a town hall after that to discuss maybe to protect us in a case of another emergency. So when we had a town hall, we invited all of the stakeholders in our community to come and to listen to the representatives of the city who protect us.
Mhm.
And we really benefited from that, and we learned a lot.
How many people ended up going to that meeting?
Several hundred people, and it was a really well-attended event.
That's amazing. That kind of success, neighborhood councils dream of having several hundred people at an event, So
Yes.
I think that was a great opportunity. It was obviously tragic and it was very sad that it happened, but you all seemed to seize it. I think even that activity spurred the neighborhood council funding system to really look at what we as neighborhood councils do in the event of emergencies. And I think you all helped spur that. So thank you for that.
Yes, well, we all believe in learning and helping each other.
Well, that's great to hear. The one thing that I've been asking everybody that I hope resonates with you is this neighborhood council system requires a lot of work, a lot of time and effort. What got you into it and what keeps you going?
The neighbors got me into it. I'm active in my homeowners association,
Right.
and the neighbors encouraged me to go forward and become active in the neighborhood council. And what keeps me going is the protection of the neighbors in the hillsides. We all, in this particular neighborhood council, live in the hillsides, and we all need to protect the hillsides, and that's what we live for, and to protect the quiet and the beauty of the neighbors and the hillsides.
Well, you come from a beautiful part of the city. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Glad you're here. Glad you're able to make it. I hope you enjoy it. Keep up the great work, Robin.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. What is your name and your affiliation?
Hi, I'm Lily Larson. I am the Mid-City Neighborhood Council Youth Representative, and I'm 17 and a senior in high school.
Awesome. Lily, so you're probably one of the youngest board members in the city. You're one of my board members also, so
Yes.
thank you for taking the time.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of interactivity here at this
Yeah.
podcast, so there's going to be some like random giggles and random, hey, how's it going? So that'll
No
be just
worries.
throughout all of it.
All
All right, so the theme of the EmpowerLA Awards is innovative civic engagement.
Mm-hmm.
What kind? I know you're still new to the system, relatively new, and you're 17, so maybe you haven't seen as much as Howard Ketchum over there. But
Yeah.
what kind of innovations have you seen in the system, whether at your neighborhood council or in other places?
Okay. Well, one thing that I've noticed just recently is regarding the neighborhood council elections, how now you can actually vote for neighborhood council representatives online, and how that really helps the community out because now it's easily accessible for
Mhm.
everyone. Also, the programs that City Hall offers, such as Civic U 2.0. Basically, about 2.5 years ago, Civic U started, and it's where Dr. Sonnenschein,
Mhm.
he informs community members, informs anyone who signs up about the neighborhood council system, what the neighborhood council system is, how it came to be, and how city government works in general.
That's right. Yeah, so he's got this great overview of how city government works. It's really like this crash course and teaching people about something that truthfully not that many know about. So that is a great service. It's mostly attended, I think, by neighborhood council board members too. So it's a great opportunity for board members who haven't heard of it.
It is, and something I noticed actually with Civic U 2.0 is that a lot of youth involvement is, a lot of youth are involved. There's a lot of teens that have been in programs at City Hall before, such as Civic Youth, where we learn about the neighborhood council program, Mayor's Youth Council. They're involved with this as well, and they are really passionate about the community and about the neighborhood council system.
That's a great summary of it. So those are things that we have done and we'll probably continue to do for the foreseeable future. Is there anything out there that you've thought about that you wish we could do, or maybe you're thinking might be done down the line somewhere?
An idea that I've had actually in my mind for about a year now is to create sort of a youth committee within EmpowerLA, and this would actually be sort of organized into different locations around Los Angeles, South LA, Harbor, East West Valley. Basically, it would be youth who are already on their neighborhood council, and they would do outreach in local high schools, recruiting teens to join their neighborhood council. Because, only a third of neighborhood councils have youth representation.
Right.
So there's still 2/3 that don't even have a youth seat.
Yep.
So I think that something would be really cool is to have these youth committees and sort of make an influence, because having youth involved in city government, I think, would make a huge influence in the neighborhood council. And something I've noticed being on Mid-City Neighborhood Council is there's a lot of support, and they're really anxious to hear the teen voice.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk for hours about what's happening in the greater country with this youth movement, but where do you think neighborhood councils in terms of energy or options fit into the civic outlets for young people who really want to get involved? They may be talking about specific issues like gun control or other things, but where do you think neighborhood councils fit into all this?
I think everything starts in the community. I mean, that's where you're raised. That's where you go to school. So, and really where you grew up, that makes you who you are as a person. So I think teens, we know of a lot of issues in the community that maybe the adults might not be aware of as much, especially like when it comes to gangs in your neighborhood. I mean, it's majority youth. So if you know kids who are joining gangs, who are, who you go to school with that are joining, it's like you could sort of think, well, maybe we can have maybe our community should have more resources. Maybe we should have a community center. Maybe there's a way that we can get funding to have more community programs and to get these kids to a different path, to a better path, get them something better to do.
Right. And so the neighborhood councils we talked about what might be in it for everyone else. Why did you join it? Why did you think this was a worthwhile endeavor, and why do you think it's something that you'll continue to do?
So I actually attended my first neighborhood council neighborhood council meeting when I was about 8 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, because growing up, I grew up in Mid-City, and there was no community resources. Really, us kids would just be playing in the street. Some would get into trouble. My mom decided to start teaching these neighborhood kids in South LA Shakespeare. So she started the Los Angeles Drama Club, and she teaches kids just for free Shakespeare, and we learn the social justice aspects of it, and then they perform it for everyone in the community. So she would often go to the neighborhood council meeting for West Adams and get grants, so I sort of learned about that. They had a lot of food. That's something I noticed. And then just being involved with programs at City Hall, they offer the youth a lot of opportunities.
Right.
So really then joining Civic Youth, I learned a lot about how, as a teen, I can be on the neighborhood council.
Right.
So about a year ago, I decided to actually apply for the youth seat, and Mid-City didn't have a youth seat. They didn't have that yet.
Right.
So they changed their bylaws.
So
and
you had to lobby really to get them to change their bylaws to create this possibility for you.
Exactly.
Which is an amazing story.
It really is, and I think that's one barrier that youth do have if they want to join the neighborhood council.
Right.
Because there's majority possibility that there's not even a seat that's made.
Right.
But once joining the neighborhood council, I've sort of realized, like, wow, even though I'm just a teen, I still can organize in my community, and I can still influence other youth to get more involved in city government.
And for those who feel, like they're shut out because there isn't a seat, I hope they realize that there is a path.
Yeah.
You can lobby your board. They can be receptive. And if you show initiative, you can find your place on the neighborhood council. So thank you for showing the way on that. And thank you for sitting with us. Lily's also a volunteer for this event, Berry event. So she's doing double duty. I'm going to let her get back to it. Thanks so much for sitting down.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brett.
You're welcome. Tell everyone your name and your affiliation with neighborhood councils.
I'm Arin Elster. I serve on the Mar Vista Community Council, the Zone 4 director.
Oh, cool. Mar Vista. You guys were nominated for an award this year, and I know that because I know the other council was nominated for an award.
Deservedly so.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you think that. So you'll be able to probably answer this question a little more easily, but something we've been asking people is the theme of this year's EmpowerLA Awards is innovative civic engagement. What kind of innovations have you seen, whether at your own neighborhood council or the system as a whole?
To be perfectly honest, I don't think our neighborhood council meetings are so innovative.
So not the meetings, at least. Okay.
Not the Well, they're well attended,
Oh,
so
good.
I guess that's innovative.
So you have innovations in attendance. What's the formula you think for getting a lot of people to show up?
Well, I think there have been a few issues that have gotten people pretty fired up.
I've heard of some. Any you care to elaborate on, or is it all just a dark past now?
It's all good. It's good to get people involved. It's the road diet that's really getting people fired up.
Right. So you kind of served as a fulcrum point, this neighborhood council, because of this larger issue of the road diet.
Yeah, that's right. And that's actually what got me interested in the first place.
I see. So you're kind of you're an embodiment of the backlash, maybe in some point.
I suppose. I mean, I'm not opposed in principle to the road diet.
Okay.
But yeah, it was the Venice Boulevard road diet that got me going to the council meetings, and then a seat opened up, and I
snatched it.
Thought I'd go for it and do something.
What made you think the neighborhood councils would be like a good use of your time? It's a lot of work. It takes up a lot of our time and a lot of energy. What did you think made it a good place to dedicate your energy?
It just seemed like that's where all the important discussions were happening within the neighborhood, was on the neighborhood council.
That's a great tagline.
Where it's all happening.
All the important discussions, anyway. Because maybe not the action per se, or final decisions, but lots of discussion.
Well, more action than you would see on a lot of other venues.
Yeah.
Most of it was going on next door, but that's more just talking.
Right.
The community council, we had Mike Bonin go out there and sit down and take some heat, which was cool of him. And there were like 200 and some odd people there.
So you're relatively new to the council's system.
I'm 3 weeks in or something.
3 weeks in. Yeah. Oh my goodness, we've got a newborn neighborhood council board member here, basically.
And my first interview. Things are just
and you're
going
already
uphill.
on a podcast. So you're new to the system, but you've seen some of the stuff play out, whether through this road diet thing or maybe all the other issues that you might have bore witness to. What kind of innovations do you want to see from the neighborhood council as a new board member? What are some things you would like to see them do to improve? Whether your own board or maybe other things you've seen in the system.
Well, we're starting to get there. We're recording the meetings, which hasn't been done in the past, and it's still not easy to get that all figured out either.
No,
I believe that we recorded the last meeting, but it hasn't gone up.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's tough. I know it's a lot of. They go on for hours, but maybe there could be some kind of live feed where people could check it out without having to come down to where the meetings are at. And
have you seen that from other neighborhood councils? Some who do like a Facebook Live. I've seen it.
I haven't seen it, but I'm sure somebody's doing it.
Yeah,
There's
it's out there.
96 councils, so somebody's got it
97
figured
now.
out.
97, yeah.
Oh, who's the new one?
Bumped up since maybe you last checked. Herman Neighborhood Council, which is in the northeast of the city.
Well, congratulations to that neighborhood.
This was actually a little while ago now, but they're probably just getting credit for it now. So most people are like 96. No, it's 97.
It's a cleaner number.
It is, 96. It used to be 95. I think right now there's a lot of angling for 100 because that would be really nice.
That would be
like
a tremendous celebration when we nail that one down.
So any other thoughts you had about the neighborhood councils? Like, again, you're a new board member. You're coming in with kind of fresh eyes, but what do you think of all this?
I think it's spread the word on the neighborhood councils. Get people out there, get people involved. Get some young people involved too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
for those who can't see Arin and maybe won't be able to look him up, he is a young man. I can attest to that. So
for now,
of course, we're all young for now.
Right.
Well, Arin, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. Like you said, you're on a rocket ship to neighborhood council stardom.
Yeah,
So
fasten
thanks so
your
much, Arin.
seatbelts. Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. We hope you enjoyed this special edition of the EmpowerLA Podcast. I want to take a moment to thank the interviewees. I hope you all enjoyed the experience. Please share this podcast and be sure to leave a review so we can thank you personally. As always, you can learn more about the Neighborhood Council system, including all the award winners, by visiting EmpowerLA.org.